Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm. You would have had to have visited the car manufacturers back in the day to see more parts. So, would you like to see one of the world's largest swap meets? Well, you're about to on this week's episode of Classic Restos. This is Hershey, Pennsylvania, United States of America, and welcome to just some of the Hershey Swap Meet for 2019. This meet has been running since 1955. The Hershey Swap Meet takes place in the first full week in October, where you can visit up to 9,000 vendor sites and anywhere up to a jaw-dropping 1,000 cars for sale in the Car Corral. Like bees drawn to honey, enthusiasts from all corners of the globe are embracing the opportunity to find a bargain, enjoy an impulsive spend, or to find that part to complete their resto. The Hershey Swap Meet stirs emotion. The parts are a boneyard of once moving prides of joy that graced the American roads. The mystery of what you may find, and of course the elation of finding some of the rarest parts, is all just part of the fun. It's the parts at Hershey, it's the people, the atmosphere. It's over many acres and everyone is on the same page. This is just some of Hershey for 2019. Hershey Swap Meet 2019. This trip, of course, a big thanks to Shannons. How you doing, Russ?
Good, Fletch. How are you?
Good. You got some stuff back here. What's going on?
Yeah, we got a little bit of everything. Gasoline, signs, some taillights, car parts, oil cans. We sell just about anything that we can, related to automotive stuff.
Well, these signs, the signs back here, they've really got my interest, Russ. I can't believe over the years how the want for these signs has really evolved, hasn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, they like to hang them in their man caves and stuff like that.
What amazes me, you talk to some of the older guys and from the 40s, 50s and 60s, and some of the steel signs, the enamel signs, they just used to throw those in the bin.
Yep, correct. They just used to throw them out when the new signs came in, and they were worthless then, but now they really caught on. Same with the oil cans. They just used to empty them and throw them out. Now people paid the big dollars for the oil cans.
And talking of the signs, all this stuff is just fascinating. What would be the oldest sign that you have here?
Probably in 1930 it was the oldest sign I have here now. Porcelain and enamel. That's how they made them back then.
Amazing stuff. Tell us about some of the lights back there.
Well, I got some real unusual taillights, stoplights, and people like to collect them to put them in their man cave and stuff like that, and really unusual ones, and that's what I do really good at.
Russ, this is eclectic, what you have here. You've got bits and pieces from all eras.
Correct. All eras from the teens all the way up into the 50s and the 60s.
Okay, Russ, look, I could stand here and talk to you all day. Love what you brought to the swap meet. Great chatting to you. Have a great weekend here, right?
Thank you, Fletch. Good. Thank you for stopping by and talking to me. Okay. Have a great day.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to bother you. Saw you there with your parts. Tell us, what have you scored for yourself?
Well, I have here a 1953 Ford grill, re-chromed. I have down here a 1946 to 48 Ford grill. I also have in this bag an adapter, a hot rod adapter, if you want to build a hot rod and use a flathead transmission to a Ford Y-block engine.
Good on you. Look, I think this is awesome. This is what Hershey's all about. These swap meets are incredible. There's so many acres. The parts are endless. This here, to get that re-chromed to suit your, it was 53, right?
53.
Yeah.
Hard to find in any condition.
Yeah.
I found a good one.
Good on you. Now, you've been standing here a while. This guy, he's trying to get away. He's holding the bar. I better let you get back to your day, and thanks for stopping for a chat.
Thank you.
You are more than welcome, and enjoy Hershey for 2019.
Have fun.
Moving on through. How you doing, Kurt?
Very good. How are you, Fletch?
I'm good, good. Now, what do you specialise in here? I see a lot of mid-30s Ford stuff.
Yeah, mostly I sell 1935 and 36 Fords. So I've kind of specialized just to those years.
This stuff is amazing. It's a real treasure hunt every time you come to these swap meets. Number one, you don't know what you're going to find. There's also the impulsive spend, like, wow, I never knew that existed. I want to buy that. So you get that sort of a feeling as well. Such a diverse range of stuff here. Tell us some stories of how do you find it?
Well, it's all in the hunt, and actually it's really fun, looking for stuff. And now I'm sort of on the other end selling stuff. But yeah, it's fun. A lot of times, if I'm looking for a certain part or something, I might have to buy a whole car to get the part I want, and then I have to take the part I want, then I have to separate it and sell that. So we've got cars and parts here from all over the country. The top of this 35 Ford 3-window, this came out of California. This is a 35 Cabriolet. This was an East Coast car. And sometimes it goes back and forth over the country. This originally came from out east, and then it came to me in central U.S., and now I'm back here in Hershey and trying to sell it. And occasionally guys even say, hey, I recognize that part. I sold that to you 30 years ago.
That's wonderful stuff. Now, before you go, tell us, what age were you here in the United States when you got your first car?
I was 10 years old when I bought my first car. It was a 1930 Model A Roadster, and I bought it for $150. I kept that car for 30 years, did a little work on it, played with it, ended up selling it for close to $3,000. But it took 30 years of work, but it was a lot of fun.
You're an enterprising guy right from the very start. It's been wonderful catching up with you, Kurt. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Fletch. Nice talking to you.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannons understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannons. And now, so's the home.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
In 2020, why not consider a Detroit tour with Fletch? Detroit, the automotive epicenter. It will leave you gobsmacked. Imagine experiencing where automotive history on a grand scale began. Stay in fine accommodation, taking in some of the best museums and private car collections on the planet. Book your 2020 Detroit tour with Fletch.
Okay, we're here at Hershey Swap Meet, and it's the second time for Fletch and I to attend Hershey. Last year we thought we've got to come back here. It's one of the largest swap meets in the world, and I tell you what, it's hard to see everything. There's so much to see. There's cars for sale, there's signage, there's parts, there's memorabilia, brochures, anything you can think of related to cars, well, you'll find it here at Hershey. So I think yesterday we spent something like, all day walking around, nearly 13 kilometres of walking, and there's still plenty more to see. We've got an extra day here this year, and that was by design because we really wanted to get the maximum value out of attending. So it's a fantastic event, and I'd recommend it. If you're an enthusiast, you've absolutely got to come to the Hershey Swap Meet. Great cars, great people, plenty to see. Bring your wallet with you because you'll certainly find some treasures. And part of the appeal of going to a swap meet, like Hershey, is that you just never know what you're going to find. There's always those surprises, things that you didn't even know existed. So it really is a worthwhile thing to come to. And one of the really interesting aspects of Hershey is as you're walking around, you see people with signs on them saying, 1903 Oldsmobile or something like that, and they're obviously on the hunt for those parts for those vehicles, really obscure cars, and they have a sign on there just in case somebody says, oh, actually I know someone that's got those parts, or if you go over to the stall over there, you can find parts for that vehicle. So that's kind of funny to see as you're walking around. I think also as you just walk around, there's so many different vendors and just things that you never even knew existed, whether it's old toys or, advertising, old signs, things like that. The array and the variety of items here is just amazing. It really is. It's fantastic. It's almost like a living museum that's actually, or a trading museum, if you like, as you walk around. These are things you can actually, if you've got the money, you can actually buy and take home. Really good stuff.
And I've been coming to Hershey for 53 years, and I've loved all 53 years of it. Now, many years ago, when I first came here, I bought a car with me, an antique car, and the entire show was in the stadium over there. And the flea market was up at one end. Today, the flea market is over 100 acres. I believe this is the largest antique car show in the world. I feel very fortunate to live close enough so I can drive and see this show year after year. I heartily recommend it to anybody that's interested in antique cars, and I have absolutely loved it all 53 years.
Now, we all know how amazing the Hershey swap meet is, but so too are the cars for sale in the Car Corral. And moving through the Car Corral, how you doing, Steve?
Real good, Fletch. How about yourself?
Good. This is a knockout car, this Buick, 74 LeSabre. I couldn't walk past it. It's outstanding.
Yes, sir. I bought the original owner. It's got a 455 motor in it, 4-barrel. It's got the original vinyl top on it. This car's been garage kept, and the only thing we had to do to this car is repaint it. Other than that, it's all original.
Sometimes there's not a lot of people that queue up to buy the 70s cars. Personally, up till the early 70s, they're my favourites, carrying on through from the 60s. But this 74 example, it's a brand new car in 2019.
Yes, sir. And I have all the paperwork for this car. I mean, the built sheet, the bill of sale, the warranty papers. It's got the original spare tire. I mean, this car is absolutely just like you said, Fletch. It's a nice car.
Steve, 14,000 original miles.
Yeah, and that's documented, and that's hard to find on a 74 model, but it's all documentation, and that's correct miles, and they're actual 14,000 mile car.
It keeps on making me wonder how many more of these cars are sitting behind barn doors over here, garages to the likes. Now, Steve, tell us the story on how you acquired the car and the history and the original owner.
Well, the guy lived in Pennsylvania, and a guy told me about the car, and he was an ex-police chief, and so I went to his house, and he told me that he owned a car 2 months, and somebody put something all over the car, so it needed repainted, and that's where I come in at, and so I took the car and bought off of him, took it back home, and repainted the car, and here it is now.
When we talk of colour, what are we looking at? What's it called?
Poly, let's see, it's called Poly Cranberry Red's what the color of this car is. And it's a rare, rare color because most of these cars were either silver, white, and this color here is absolutely just, it's different.
I'm sorry to put you through that, Steve. That's quite a long name for the paint, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir, it is.
We've got a 455 up front, a 4-barrel carb, turbo 400 transmission, a tall rear gear. I think these ran around the 2.6 in the rear gear ratio, which gave it almost overdrive capabilities in RPMs on the freeway. These cars move, don't they? These are very powerful cars, Steve.
Oh, yes, they are, yes. And matter of fact, these cars will just from 0 to 60 in a matter of seconds. They're a powerful running car. And this car run 120, 130 mile an hour. I mean, just, because of the 455. And Buick always made a good car. Yeah. They did.
Now, the interior. What an incredible interior there. Again, a brand new interior, untouched. And then complementing that, the aesthetics from that beautiful dashboard. I think the curve around dash in these Buicks are really something. And there are some ergonomics there as well. The controls are easy to get at. I just love the shape of this particular dash on these Buicks.
Oh yeah, and what this guy here done is he sat down with the dealership Valley Buick in Pennsylvania and ordered this car, and that's how I got the 455, which you could get. An option was power windows, cruise control, power antenna, AM/FM radio. So this car was ordered for this man, and it's got every option you can put on this car.
Now, Classic Restos has never been about selling cars, but I can't help but notice, obviously, this car is for sale. Any particular reason why you have to let it go?
Well, this is what I do for a living. I mean, I find cars like this, and people tell me about them, so I go to their house and try to buy them, and then I take them back and restore them, and that's how I got this car off this guy. Somebody else told me about it, and so this is what I do for a living, and I enjoy it. And
I should hang around you more often. Steve, it's
been a little higher then.
It's been wonderful catching up with you at Hershey here, 2019, in the amazing Pennsylvania here in the United States of America. Thank you very much, Steve.
Yes, sir. Good talking to you, Fletch.
If you own a classic bike, a classic car or a classic truck, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And if you're really enjoying episodes of Classic Restos, keep in mind there are almost 330 of them awaiting you on the Shannons Club, along with a heap of other really cool stuff. To find out more information, visit shannons.com.au.
My passion for cars began when Nana and Pop bought their new Toyota Crown. It was Nana's, really. She loved that car. We went everywhere in it.
My passion now is just the same, even though my cars are a little different.
I've still got Nana's car, couldn't part with it. And I reckon if she was here today, she'd be insured with Shannons too.
Call Shannons on 134646. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Hare and Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare and Forbes has the range. And moving through the Hershey Car Corral. There's all different reasons for selling our classic vehicles. How are you, Bill?
Good, very good, Fletch. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Beautiful car here, the 57 Ford. Now, there's a couple of ways to pronounce the model of this car. What are those?
All right, it's 57 Ford Failing Skyliner retractable.
Right.
All right, they only made it 3 years, 1957, 58, and 59. And this one is very rare because it's one of 38 ever built. It has what we call an E-code motor with dual 4-barrel carburetors.
On a 312.
Yeah, on a 312.
Yeah. 270 horsepower back in the day for 1957. That couldn't be sneezed at either.
No, it really feels good when you get behind the wheel and drive it. I feel 20 years old.
So we're talking a 20-foot long car. It's a heavy car. It gets back to the torque of these engines. Again, they are very well powered for what they are. Now, particularly with this car, Bill, we're looking at so many appointments here. These things were rocket ships, weren't they?
Oh, in their day, they were pretty fast. Ford was into racing at that period of time, and so was Chevrolet, so they had a lot of competition going back in the day.
Interesting when it comes to styling too. We're still talking many years before man was put on the moon. We're in the rocket ship era, spaceship era. It's you could just imagine how much awe-inspiring stuff the designers must have been experiencing every day they went to work and put pencil to paper.
You know, it's done, Fletch, early in the early 50s. It started in 1952, designing that. And they were so far ahead of their time with the engineering to make a roof that weighed that much and then fit into the trunk. It was actually designed for the 1956 Lincoln Mark. and it made the car too expensive, so they converted it into the 1957 Ford. And to me, the engineering was just far superior.
The car is so unique. I have to ask, you can share it if you want to, why do you have to sell it?
Oh no, I built this with my son. We are partners, and he gets half the money. And it's a great part-time job for half the money. And the pleasure of doing it with your son, you can't beat it.
Yeah, you can't top words like that. That is just so true, Bill. Cars like this in the United States of America, you still believe sitting in barns just out in the country with the doors are closed, maybe a couple of bales of hay sitting on the rooftop, and they're just forgotten about. They're still out there.
Oh, there's tons of Fletch. There's tons of them. And believe it or not, there's only 270, all right, that are actually in this condition. And that's 7, 8, and 9. We have these cars judged by our club, just like there's a Corvette club and Chevrolet clubs. And we call this what we call a showcase automobile. We have a 1,000-point judging system, all right, and there's only 270 out of maybe, let's say, 3,000 or 4,000. They're actually being driven, all right, but not show cars. And then you'd find another 5,000 in the woodworks all over the country, and it's crazy. My phone rings because I'm in the club from all over the world, all right? I get calls from Switzerland, France, Spain, Brazil, all right? That people have joined our club, and even Australia, and they need tech information on how to fix their cars because they have nobody there to fix them.
I just love this. It's a picture here in the corral.
And the friends that come by, you can't put it into it. The cars bring us together, you know, and you got tons of friends and people, and that's what it's all about, cars and people.
It's an incredible hobby, isn't it?
Oh, yes. An expensive one.
It is. Well, as I said, look, hats off to you, Bill. It just looks glorious sitting here. It's beyond words, mate. It's a full credit to you and your son. Thanks for your time for a chat.
Thank you for the interview.
And it's time for Ma Mopar on today's show. How you doing, Tom?
Fine, Fletch. How are you?
Good. You having fun?
Absolutely.
You've got to have fun here at Hershey, right?
40 years. 40 years we've been coming. First time in 1979.
79, the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's dedication and devotion, and I guess it just reflects how good this event is to keep on drawing the people back. You're not the first gentleman today that has told me that you've been long-term coming to Hershey, which is awesome to hear. Now, you've got a car for sale here in the corral. What we have here is a Newport. Now, a Chrysler Newport 1971, not that high up on the options list, but just incredible condition. What can you tell us about the car?
34,000 miles, factory air conditioning, disc brakes, and all original. Original paint, original interior, original vinyl top, and all original running gear. Great car.
Well, there you go. That's just blown about 10 minutes of our conversation. you did that quickly. We've got a 383 here, which is nice. It's a big block car, of course, a 727 auto, 8 3/4 rear. Mechanically sound, it sounds fantastic.
We've been driving it since we've been here. Since we've been here for over a week, we've put 400 miles on it.
There's a lot of green inside. It's almost like we're going back to the Jurassic era, as sitting in a rainforest in there. Lots of green, but the green is in exceptional condition. We don't have power windows. We've got cranks there on the doors, but again, in its innocence, being fairly low in options, makes up in the quality.
It does, and it's got factory air conditioning that works, which is a great option. It's got most of the conveniences you need. And with no power windows and no power seats, you don't have to keep them working.
In terms of embellishments, Tom, I like the recessed section in center of the back seat, that nice chrome piece in there. Just a little bit of upmarket bling.
Just a little bit of bling, that's exactly right. They built them to sell.
Now, Tom, looking around the car, it looks like there's been some dealer accessories with the visors over the 4 doors, those covers.
It's called vent shades, and it was very popular back in the day. And you could roll the window down just a little, and the rain wouldn't come in.
Fantastic. Look, this all just adds to how good this car is. Down to the pile and the carpet, the quality there. I don't think you're going to have too much trouble moving this car along.
It's a great car, and it's going to be a wonderful possession for somebody that appreciates a good original car like I do.
Tom, it's been wonderful catching up with you this afternoon, and you have your lovely wife over there, Sherry, as well. Isn't this good? Getting out and enjoying the classic cars. You've driven a long way. This car here, well, that of course hasn't let you down. You must have just had a fantastic trip up.
We have, and welcome to the U.S. We'd love to have you.
Good on you. Thanks very much, Tom.
Thank you.
Hershey runs deep with many. I think inside every classic vehicle enthusiast, there's still the little kid. We show eagerness before an event, we show excitement at the event, and we show and hold an appreciation after the event. Whether you buy a stainless steel clip or an entire vehicle, the feeling that we get is what our hobby is all about. This episode of the Hershey Swap Meet 2019 cannot do justice. This episode would have covered 1% of what is here. I guess it's that have to be here thing to really appreciate it. I hope this episode has given you a little of exactly that. The 2019 Hershey Swap Meet, Pennsylvania, United States of America. So until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm.